Have you ever wondered why it's so much easier to be poor than to be rich? I received an interesting comment this week on a YouTube video where someone asserted that simply being born in Mexico makes you poor, but it's only in Mexico where there are poor people. Why is it so much easier to be poor than to be rich? Because being poor is a habit, said the professor. Pay attention to this brief video on the blog where I explain why perhaps you haven't yet achieved wealth in your life, or even the simple freedom of not being a slave to money. So unless you need to rush off and work to pay your bills, stay here because I'm going to teach you something valuable that can transform your life. Have you ever asked yourself why there are so many poor people in the world and so few rich ones? I know, you'll use 1,001 arguments to justify various things, but the answer is simple. Being poor is a habit. So now I'll ask you another question. Why is it so hard to stop being poor? Because it's a habit, and the hardest thing in human life is to change a habit. Now, pay attention. It's not just any habit. From 0 to 7 years old, our minds are in a hypnotic state where we don't have the ability to reason consciously, only to absorb information. Our habits form through the observation of our 5 senses. We see, hear, touch, smell, and observe. After 7 years old, this worldview becomes fixed in our minds and becomes our habitual way of living. So why is it so hard to change a habit? Because your habits are in your subconscious, not your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is creative and capable of thinking, but your actions are controlled by your subconscious habits, which are simply programming. These programs are your habits, like walking, for example. For the sake of protection, it's difficult to change a habit. If it were easy, you'd simply decide to change, and that would be it. For example, imagine if you refused to walk with your legs and decided to walk upside down, using your hands. I challenge you to try learning to walk on your hands starting today, just like leaving poverty and becoming rich. It's like stopping walking with your legs and starting to walk with your hands. No, Professor, it can't be. Yes, exactly. That's why there are so many poor and so few rich people. We've been programmed to be poor, taught by our parents, uncles, and grandparents that we should work. What's the habit difference between the poor and the rich when they wake up in the morning? The poor think, I have to work. The rich think, how can I make more money today? The difference between the poor and the rich is just a habit. The rich have the habit of making money. The poor have the habit of working to pay bills and survive. It's simply a habit that was implanted in your mind when you were a child. So today, automatically, when someone says you need to work to earn money, it stays in your conscious mind but not in your subconscious. Why? Because you haven't persisted long enough for it to become a habit. Remember, for something to become a habit, it's like refusing to walk with your legs and starting to walk with your hands. If you think changing a habit like this is easy, start writing with your left hand if you're right-handed, or with your right hand if you're left-handed. Do this for 200 days and see how something so simple becomes difficult when we try to do it in a way we're not used to. But now, let's talk about the solution. What is the solution, Professor? Develop the habit of making money. And how do you do that? Exclusively through understanding techniques and strategies of mental reprogramming. But for that, you need not only knowledge but also understanding. Here's what many people don't understand. Reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki doesn't change your financial life just by acquiring knowledge. Changing your life requires putting into practice what you learn until it becomes automatic. So, you read the book and think you know now, but you don't know. You'll only know on the day you're able to execute the actions taught. For example, a 1-year-old child can know how to walk. They've already seen their parents walking and understood how it works. They can stand up and walk. They're capable of executing that task. That's why so many people today spend fortunes on knowledge but lack practical wisdom. They don't have the habit because they give up at the first attempt. It's obvious that it's difficult, like trying to walk on your hands for the first time. You won't succeed on the first try. So you give up on starting a YouTube channel, give up on reading a book, give up on starting your own business, give up on entering multi-level marketing, because you give up before it becomes a habit. It's hard to create a new habit because, for the sake of protection, you'll have to let go of the old one. So, there's only one solution for you. Decide what you're going to do and persist. There is only one way to escape poverty and achieve wealth. Create the habit of making money, not just the habit of working to pay bills. This will only happen through a method called repetition. When you wake up in the morning, instead of just thinking about your job, which you will continue to do as best as possible, study the science of getting rich and think about how to earn more money. When you come home at night, start developing this habit. Instead of watching soap operas, start your own business, work online, join multi-level marketing on weekends, break away from your usual routine, change your habits, and develop the habit of creating new income streams. But you must persist in this task until it becomes a new habit. The only difference between you and someone successful isn't just that they're a really nice person. It's their habits. Both have 24 hours in a day. Rich people have the habit of thinking about how to make money and actively pursuing it. Poor people have the habit of simply working. When someone says, "I need a job," you actually don't need a job. You need to learn how to make money. Can you see how this will make a difference in your life? When you think about work, you put in effort because it's a habit. If you lose your job, you quickly look for another job to do the same thing because it feels comfortable. It's a habit, understand? We are creatures of habit, and if you want to change your life, you need to change your habits. But that's not easy. Do you agree with me? That's why it's not enough to just have conscious knowledge. It must be in the subconscious. The only way, as an adult, to transfer things to the subconscious is through repetition. But you don't want to repeat something where you feel incompetent. You don't want to repeat a mistake and feel stupid for making it. This is cybernetics. It's psycho-cybernetics. This is the secret. Change the habit of working for the habit of making money and transform your life. Now, Professor, what's the next step? Advice from someone who came from a mining camp. I looked at the calendar and saw we had 130 days, and I realized I could easily earn 1,000,000 reais this year. There are 130 days to earn 1,000,000 reais. What's the difference for that former miner until today? Before, I got up every day for 15 years to work. Today, I get up, grab my notebook, and ask how to earn 1,000,000 reais in the next 130 days. That's the difference. What's your next step now? Reprogram your mind. Understand who you are, how you were programmed, learn the difference between conscious and subconscious, learn what psycho-cybernetics is, how these habits have changed your personality, and dictate your way of acting, interacting, and responding to the world. Be capable of executing, but you'll only be capable of executing when you possess knowledge and turn it into a habit. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click like, share it with your friends, and leave a comment about what difference it would make if, instead of being programmed to work, you had been programmed to make money. If instead of getting up every morning to work, you got up to think about how to earn more than you do today. You just don't have that habit. You didn't have to have it. Surely, we would have many more rich people than poor ones. Okay, sending you love. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.